3 days before my wedding, I was standing in a tailor's shop, half pinned into a dress that felt like a promise I hadn't fully grown into yet. The mirror showed someone composed, shoulders straight, chin steady, but inside I was still negotiating old habits, hoping even then that this one day might soften something at home. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. The seamstress asked me to hold still, but I reached for it anyway. My father's voice didn't carry anger. That would have been easier to understand. It was careful, almost apologetic, like he was adjusting a schedule. "I'm not walking you down the aisle." There was a pause, not for my reaction, just enough to let the sentence settle into place. "Your sister thinks it would upset her. You know how sensitive she's been lately?" I didn't answer immediately. The seamstress's hands paused at my waist, sensing something had shifted without knowing what. My mother came on the line next, softer but not kinder. "It's not a big deal. You can walk alone. People do it all the time." That was the part that stayed with me. Not the decision itself, but how small they needed it to be. How easily something I had imagined for years was reduced to a detail. "I should step around." I said, "Okay." Not because I agreed, but because I recognized the shape of the conversation. There wasn't room for anything else. After the call ended, I stood there a little longer than necessary. The mirror didn't change. I did. In the days that followed, I moved through preparations like someone handling fragile glass. Everything was careful, deliberate. People asked if I was excited. I said yes because I was, just not in the way they meant. Memories came back without invitation. Birthdays that had been rescheduled. Achievements that had been acknowledged, then quietly overshadowed. I had always told myself it wasn't intentional. That love just looked different in our house. But patterns have a way of revealing themselves when you stop explaining them away. I didn't call my parents again. There was nothing left to negotiate. Instead, I made one quiet decision. Not dramatic, not defiant, just precise. The morning of the wedding felt strangely calm. No panic, no second guessing, just a steady awareness that something had already changed long before I stepped into the venue. Guests filled the space with the usual warmth. Soft conversations, polite laughter, expectations settling into place. I could feel it without seeing it. The assumption of tradition, the belief that everything would unfold the way it always does. I knew where my parents were seated. Not at the front, not quite hidden either. Somewhere in between where presence doesn't require participation. I didn't go to them. When the music began, the room shifted its attention toward the doors. That familiar moment, anticipation structured and predictable. Behind those doors, I adjusted my grip, not on nerves, but on certainty. "Ready?" someone asked. I nodded. The doors opened for a second. Nothing registered, just light movement. The slow alignment of every gaze in the room. Then it did, a subtle break in expectation. Not loud, not theatrical. Just enough to interrupt what people thought they were about to see. I wasn't alone. Beside me was the one person who had never asked me to shrink, to make someone else comfortable. My grandfather, older now, slower in his steps, but steady in a way that didn't need explanation. His hand on my arm wasn't symbolic, it was real, chosen. There was a ripple through the room, not noise, just awareness. I didn't look around much, but I saw enough. My father, sitting where he had placed himself, went still, not embarrassed. Not angry, just caught in a moment he hadn't anticipated. For the first time, the decision wasn't his to shape. We walked forward at a pace that belonged to us, not rushed, not hesitant. Each step felt measured, like I was crossing into something I had defined for myself, not inherited. No one stopped us. No one questioned it. Authority, when it appears clearly enough, doesn't need to argue. The ceremony continued as if nothing had fractured. Vows were exchanged, rings were placed. People smiled, some with genuine warmth, others with quiet curiosity. I didn't search for my parents' reactions again. It didn't feel necessary. What mattered had already happened. Afterward, there were moments where paths almost crossed. My mother's eyes found mine once uncertain, like she was trying to decide what version of the day she had just witnessed. My father didn't approach. Neither did I. There was no confrontation waiting to happen. No speech prepared, just a distance that hadn't existed before. Clean, defined, and strangely calm. Later, when the noise had softened and the day began to settle into memory, I thought about what had changed, not them, not the past. Just the way I understood my place inside it. For a long time, I had treated approval like something I could earn with enough patience. Enough understanding. Enough silence, but standing there, walking forward without waiting for permission. Something shifted, not loudly. Not in a way anyone could point to and label, just enough. Enough to know that dignity doesn't arrive when others finally give it to you. Sometimes it's what's left when you stop asking. The cost of that realization wasn't small. It came with a quiet absence I could feel even in the middle of celebration. But it also came with something steadier, something that didn't depend on being chosen. And for the first time, that felt like enough.